Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wrestling Weekend Recap, where we give you the good, the bad, and the latest inside news that took place this week with Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, as we talk about the Wednesday Night Wars between NXT and AEW Dynamite, and who's along on this ride on the AEW side, none other than Impact Wrestling. Yes. Well, here we are. The one and only Jade. I am Aceman X. And as always, we're going to start by saying that due to the nature of this program, everything that we say and state is strictly our opinion, and it does not necessarily reflect the views of the platform that we're on or the wrestling companies that we talk about. And now, don't have a cow, man. So, of course, on this episode, we're going to talk about all those shows. There's some huge stories going on, but Jade, the one thing that is already been getting to me and kind of deeming interested and not so interested is the fact that everything as it relates to the Bullet Club is all of everything that we've been watching this week a work. So we are going to get to the root of that at the end of this program. But let's take care of the WWE stuff first. Let's talk about what took place with Monday Night Raw. Actually, before we even get to the Monday Night Raw stuff and Friday Night SmackDown, we have to talk about what took place this past Sunday at WWE's Royal Rumble of this year. And Jade, it from top to bottom. Let's be honest, this show was actually very good. It was actually excellent from the top of the show all the way to the very end of it. We got to witness two new winners of the respective Royal Rumble genders. We witnessed Edge being the 2021 Royal Rumble winner, and we witnessed Bianca Belair becoming the female Royal Rumble winner this year. And they still haven't decided who they're going to aim for coming up at WrestleMania in the month of April. So that's still news in the air. Hopefully, we'll definitely stay tuned and get into more in depth of what's going to happen. While we're on the subject, of course, let's just get this part out of the way while we're talking about Edge. He's been pretty much been popping on Raw, SmackDown, and even NXT. So he's letting all of their champions know that it doesn't matter who he picks. Bottom line is their time is up, and he will get a championship nonetheless. Even at that, if he chooses the WWE title or the Universal title, he's going to redeem himself for getting back a championship that he really never lost. Because if we remember back in 2011, he gave up his championship to a neck surgery, I believe. I'm pretty sure that was hard for Adam Copeland to come out to the public and to state that he will no longer wrestle at the time. He's been in hiatus for 9 years. And just when we thought that that was it, that he would never make a comeback, last year in 2020, the man made a comeback precisely at the one event that got the ball rolling all over again for Adam Copeland. We couldn't be more happy and ecstatic finding out that this was going to come true, even though on social media he kept denying it and denying it and denying it, and it was impossible to deny. We all had the sensation that no matter how much he denies, it was a state fact that he would definitely come back at last year's Royal Rumble match. So, Jade, we did our top 5 picks for both of those Rumble matches this past Sunday, and we pretty much hit the buttons fair and square. I mean, we were on point on who we felt was gonna take the matches, who was gonna advance to WrestleMania and get a title shot. Um, but I gotta say, for Edge, if he does succeed, doesn't matter who he chooses, he will complete the full circle of making one successful comeback during this tough time during this COVID crisis.
Yes, indeed, and pretty much like you mentioned, it couldn't have come, you know, it couldn't mean more for the man normally known as Adam Copeland, because going back, so his earliest days in the WWE, when he started out as a tag team player, of course we see him blossom along with Christian, and from there he started coming out of his shell and started becoming a solo player, and that's when he earned the right to be called the Rated R Superstar, and then the Ultimate Opportunist with 2 Money in the Bank opportunities. In fact, he was the very first the inaugural Money in the Bank winner, and for someone who pretty much reaped in every reward because he earned it. And last Sunday couldn't mean more because he pretty much came in and number one in the men's Royal Rumble. He arrested all comers, including the one person who could have once again taken his career away from him. Well, not to say he could have away from him, but he wanted to take his career away from him again, stemming from last year, and that would be the Apex Predator, Randy Orton, who of course he has his own issues to deal with, but nonetheless, for it finally, I want to say honestly, last year when he made his return, I honestly thought it was going to be his time. Possibly he could have held the Universal Championship at least, but unfortunately that never took place. But nevertheless, it's like that's past history. It's now time for Adam Copeland Edge to take his rightful place as the top superstar in the WWE. But of course, as you mentioned, there are 3 champions. Right now, there's still the Universal Champion, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. You still got Drew McIntyre. And coincidentally, there's still the NXT champion, the Prince, Finn Balor, who next Sunday will defend against the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne at Vengeance Day. But nonetheless, if I were Edge at this very moment, he should keep a keen eye on all these 3 champions, because eventually he's gonna have to make a decision as to whom he's gonna gun after once possibly close to the end of the month or by the beginning of March, because the anticipation for WrestleMania could not be more at its height, possibly by the beginning of March. So eventually the Rated R Superstar will make his decision by that time frame.
Well, now that we're still on the subject of Edge winning this year's Royal Rumble, we haven't had a chance to listen to the aftermath of the Rumble, leading, of course, for the following night on Monday Night Raw. But I've come across some footage that we definitely got to hear to get the reaction, or listen to the reaction, better yet, of Edge having to be successful at the end of this year's Royal Rumble and winning that match.
What is it like to know that you're going to WrestleMania, main event WrestleMania? It means a lot. It's well done. So, you told me 4 years ago that I'd be in the Royal Rumble, going in first and winning it to go to WrestleMania. I still feel like I'm going to pinch myself, but I still feel like I'm going to wake up. But it doesn't make sense. And then for Jade being there, it just... if you wrote this as a script for Hollywood, they'd say it's impossible. It can never happen. It's unrealistic. Yet here we are. I don't get it. And I think I'm going to stop trying to get it. And just enjoy it. And then stop analyzing it, analyzing why and how and all of these things. I'm just going, it's happening and it's possible. And I feel great. And to have my best friend back with me again, it's just, I can't. Very happy.
It was awesome. Now that he brought up Christian, his real name is Jay Rezzo.
Yes.
Seeing that moment of the reunion of Edge and Christian, that one was long overdue, but we were happy that we seen it because we remember seeing Edge and Christian back in 99, how they debuted as part of the Brood with Gangrel. Then they broke away from Gangrel, went on their own. They were barely green, trying to find an identity that, the fans can get behind these two guys. And they became one of the greatest tag teams and one of the best tag team champions of all time during the Attitude Era until they went their separate ways. Edge found success as a superstar. Christian, I hate to say not so much, but still he had a decent run. It wasn't a terrible one. He won championships along the way. I remember he was European champion, Intercontinental champion. He was ECW champion. Not the old school ECW, but WWE's version of ECW, the third brand. And he was world champion, wasn't he, as well? Or he never won the world? Yeah, he won. I could have sworn he won the. I can recall that he won the world championship as well. So that puts him, with the other elite men that have won that title from the 1900s and still was relevant at the time. But while we're on the subject of Christian, let's hear what he's got to say in just a moment, and hear his his thoughts.
How did it feel out there after 7 years in the ring?
It was a little surreal, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect, but it's funny. They say everybody has a plan until you get hit. That was kind of the case here. I kind of had a vision of what's going to happen. I got hit once, and all right, it's on. And but it felt good. I mean, this is what I was born to do. So I felt like being home.
And what was it like being back with everybody in the locker room here tonight?
It was good. Nobody knew what was happening, so just kind of playing coy all day. It was a fun surprise.
And to see Edge win, what does that mean to you?
If I couldn't win it, I'm glad he did. I'll put it that way.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? All I ever promised was one more match. That could be it.
Already throwing in teasers. Maybe one more match, but who though? Who would be his opponent? That would be the question. So, I guess we'll stay tuned for that. And like how we mentioned, Edge has been lately putting it out there with all the champions of every WWE show, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. He's laying it out there and let them know, what could happen coming up at WrestleMania. But the only question we have to stay tuned to is when is Edge going to make his decision. I know they're not going to have him decide right away. This is one of these moments where it's like, I wonder who he's going to choose. I wonder when the heck is he going to make up his mind. When is he going to get that out there? That way we can start amping up for WrestleMania this year. So why don't we go back and watch the highlight from Raw of when he steps in. Drew McIntyre's already in the ring, and Edge lets him know what is on his agenda coming up to WrestleMania.
This is no ordinary episode of Raw. We're taking it up a notch tonight because we are officially on the road to WrestleMania. It started last night. How freaking awesome was the Royal Rumble? I'll start with myself and Goldberg. We both went to war with each other. We beat the crap out of each other. I earned his respect. He sure as hell earned mine. Thank you. Up and down the card. My goodness, the women's tag title match, incredible. Sasha, Carmella, knocked out the park. Oh, buddy, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, last man standing, physical as hell. Women's Royal Rumble match, Bianca Belair solidified herself as the future. She's going to be awesome inside this ring and outside it. What a performer. And then, the men's Royal Rumble match. I admire that match closely. Oh, you knew this might be coming. What is wrong with you? I won the Royal Rumble last night. That means I can challenge you for that championship at WrestleMania. You won the Rumble last year. You, of all people, should know that I am an immediate and viable threat. But instead of kicking my head off when I came through these ropes, you're showering me with compliments. Right, but I get it. That's something perhaps an opportunist would do. That's not the kind of champion Drew McIntyre is. You're damn right, you're not me. You're not me. And we have more company in the form of WWE Champion's best friend, Sheamus. The thing is, I'm not happy. Because who are you to question anything about this man, huh? A man who has single-handedly carried this company through uncharted waters. Well, you are sitting at home in your arse, nursing your little tricep. This man, who has been my best friend for over half my life. So I ask you, Edge, who are you? Huh? Now, he may want to take the high road in all this. But I sure as hell don't. Sheamus, appreciate enthusiasm. I've got this one. Edge, you won the Royal Rumble last night. You gonna make your decision, or am I gonna make it for you? I've been in this game for a long time. I'm the ultimate opportunist. I'll assess my situation, I'll make my option known, and you will know. You've got a big target on your back, man. You are playing a dangerous game here. What are you gawking at, man? Huh? What are you looking at me for? Huh? Want to say something? Listen. You will know when I make my decision. But also know that whoever I choose, I am walking out of WrestleMania as a champion.
So basically, of course, Edge made his intentions known, having to show up when Drew McIntyre was already in the ring. And Edge already kind of educating this kid on what he should have done once Edge came in. But he decided from there, he let him know that that is not how Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion, rolls. He's not Edge, that he's not the ultimate opportunist. Do you think, Jay, that that Edge is right, that he should have done something right there, right then, before Edge even decided of coming into the ring and during this time?
Honestly, I think it was a test by Edge, because that night, Edge was pretty much tested. Since pretty much after the Royal Rumble, Drew endured what I wouldn't say not good match, but a good match nonetheless with the man Goldberg. Pretty much, I think that was a test. He was pretty much testing if he can, whether to take Drew seriously or not. Because by Drew's refusal and saying, "No, I'm not going to hit you," because that's sneaky and underhanded, he's pretty much trying to show the WWE universe that he is the champion that they should be, praising, and they should be, They should be rooting for and all that stuff. And pretty much had he fell for Edge's trick, he pretty much fall into that pit where he pretty much sink his credibility. So I would say was Drew right in not hitting Edge? I would say say yes, but eventually there'll be a time where this two kind of. I mean, Drew said it best last Monday. He pretty much earned Goldberg's respect. I mean, he's pretty much earning everybody's respect. And it all started since last year when he won the WWE title for the very first time. And it was difficult for him to earn everybody's respect, but little by little he started proving himself more and more. He said, like, I'm not just a walk in the park. I'm not just a flash in the pan. And pretty much he pretty much earned the respect of all the legends, not all the legends, certain legends and certain Hall of Famers, but he still has an uphill. He still has to climb that mountain of approval, but eventually, little by little, he's going to start. I mean, he won over the WWE Universe, but winning over the legends and the Hall of Famers, that's pretty much still his goal at this very moment.
And just when the world thought that it could never be done, Drew McIntyre did defeat Goldberg this past Sunday at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. Just when Goldberg was already developing a new streak of sorts, having to win championships back to back. That has passed 2 years ago when that first formed. But unfortunately, this year's Royal Rumble was the ender of that streak, and Drew McIntyre still retained the WWE Championship. But moving on, as it comes to Edge, he already made a statement to the WWE Champion on Monday Night Raw. Now we jump to NXT this past Wednesday when Pete Dunne, who is still not finished with the NXT champion Finn Balor, they both were already coming into the ring having their verbiage when the least surprising expected just showed up in the middle of that NXT ring.
This feels good. You see, a lot of times in WWE, we put the focus on the E, but here in NXT, the focus is on that second W. And that's fun. See, for years, I watched this show as a fan, just like everybody else. But you know what I always saw? Passion. Hunger. I see fire in eyes. But what people don't know, and what I'm about to tell you, is that this show, this place, helped me find my passion. It helped me to find the passion to get my career back after 9 years. I used that passion to win the Royal Rumble this past Sunday. By winning that, it allows me to challenge any champion within this company. Now, I look at you two and I see two of the damn best. You know how I feel about you. I see you and I see so much of me. The good and the bad. But that's what makes us who we are. And I would have shrugged my shoulders just like that 10 years ago too, kid. And I look at you and I see a guy who is operating on an entirely different level. You are in a zone that is special to watch. So, I'm going to be watching your match at TakeOver. Because I've never had that. So no matter who wins your match at TakeOver, that is intriguing. And if I haven't made my choice by TakeOver, who knows? This fight may cause me to make my choice. everyone else, it's hard to hear what he has at Capital Wrestling Center, but the Goosebumps are coming for life soon, and it's very welcome. I'm not sure that I'm capable of speaking after watching that. That was insane.
Now, how intriguing was that? Seeing Edge for the first time ever on NXT, putting those two men on notice, Finn Balor and Pete Dunne. Of course, those two are going to fight for the NXT Championship one-on-one at Vengeance Day. But Edge is there to clearly let them know of what is on his agenda once again. This is a total shock to me that he would even deem to show up at NXT to let the NXT champion know, hey, that is one belt I never had in my reservoir, and I plan to get it if I don't choose the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship. NXT would definitely be something to consider. Jade, what do you think that maybe, just maybe, Edge is thinking of a possibility of having the NXT Championship?
Well, honestly, I can't say that's possible, but the possibilities of Edge possibly challenging for the NXT title are definitely remote. But it's not to say that he won't go for it. But knowing that NXT is a much more different battleground than Raw or SmackDown, because they have respectively they have great wrestlers. I mean, of course, I'm talking about Finn Balor. Of course, I'm talking about Johnny Gargano. Of course, I'm talking about the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne and a whole slew of other wrestlers. Even though who at the time some of them did not earn the right to become stars, but pretty much they're there on the yellow and black brand for a reason, because they're anchoring that brand, because they're pretty much the future stars of that brand. But to say Edge possibly going for the NXT title at WrestleMania just to compile it in his track record, that's like something you never see before. I'm not saying that he shouldn't go for it. I'm saying that he might not go for it. But if he chooses to go for it, quite frankly, that would be quite a shock.
If he does acquire it, he would be the ultimate Grand Slam winner, because he has been a champion of every single title that the WWE has had, at least for the majority of them. Because I don't even remember if Edge was even a hardcore champion, to be honest. But he has been Intercontinental champion. He has been. Has he been a United States champion?
Probably, I'm not sure.
I don't think that was even the case. I know he was European champion, I think. Well, one thing is for sure, he was Intercontinental champion. He was WWE champion. He was never Universal champion. He was obviously never held the NXT title. So it's like we're going to have to look back at everything that Edge has done, but we know for sure he's been WWE champion. He's been Intercontinental champion for sure. He's been tag team champion as well, numerous times over. So, but the thing is that he was there to let them know that it was because of seeing these NXT young guns in that ring busting butt every single week. That was Edge's inspiration for him to make the comeback of his life and to gain back his career and to get back the championship that he deems he never lost. So that was fuel to aspire for him to be at his best, to be at the 100% status that he needs to be in order to make that comeback complete. Now, so far, we already heard one champion saying, are you going to make your decision or do I have to do it for you? Now, already moving on to SmackDown, the Universal Champion, the head of the table, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, he was pretty much on that same plan. But having to come out on the top of the show, he felt insulted because he felt that it should have been Roman Reigns that should have got the first speech from Edge, from the Royal Rumble winner. And that wasn't even the case. So now we're going to move to SmackDown, to the very end of the segment, where Edge does come out and he lays his agenda towards Roman Reigns. So let's go to the footage and listening to what happened on that section in just a few moments. So definitely, Roman Reigns wasn't happy with how all of that transpired. So we'll definitely hear the recap of what took place at the very end of that segment.
You had to bring backup? You already sweating me, man? Because I'm out here alone. Edge, man to man. I give you my word. Without my blessing, Paul will not make a move on you. Renting space in your head already. I see it, man. That's why he's out here. So I'll meet you at the bus. I got this. Back up. Right, that's your one pass. You disrespected me. Therefore, you disrespected my family. So I'm only going to say this once. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me as the main event of WrestleMania. Acknowledge me as the champion of choice. Say my name. You understand me? Say my name. That's your cue. Go. Oh my God, Kevin Owens! A stunner to Reigns! It's into your choose.
Then an incredible turn of events. Just when Edge was about to lay down who he chooses, Kevin Owens comes out of nowhere and decides to stunner once again the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. Jade, I gotta say that all these three shows, Edge has been laying it really thick, letting every champion know that it's just a matter of time until he makes his decision. But unfortunately, Roman Reigns, he wasn't looking pretty good because he got hot. He got really hot thinking that if only Edge would have came to SmackDown first, laid down that message, then maybe, just maybe, Roman could have been considered because, of course, he knows very well that as the Universal Champion and on SmackDown, he is the biggest hot item that there is right now in sports entertainment.
Of course, that's no disagreement. Yeah, that the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, the current Universal Champion, feels blatantly disrespected by Edge because per his words that he felt blatantly disrespected, but it's like he feels that his days as the Universal Champion may be numbered. But nevertheless, it's like just when Roman thought that he had Edge to worry about, all of a sudden from behind, as from some of you may heard, once again, Kevin Owens came out with a stunner, and that last man standing match, those two pretty much took it to each other. They pretty much took it to the limit, to the point where like they pretty much used tables and ladders, lights and trusses. They nearly put their own careers at stake. But in the end, evidently the Tribal Chief still the Universal Champion, and of course a lot of us, like, we're still wondering, is like, who will Edge challenge? Will it be Roman Reigns? Will it be Drew McIntyre? Will it be Finn Balor, Pete Dunne? And I'm saying, or because of what might take place next Sunday. But like I mentioned it, like, I'm knowing how the Raider superstar is, because he knows the game all well. He's not gonna pretty much say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make my selection that quick." If there's a certain title that I want to go for, I will make my selection. But unfortunately, all we have to do now is just play the waiting game.
Another person that is also in that same situation of having to choose what type of title she's going to have to go for coming WrestleMania is the Women's Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair. Now, of course, it was speculated from all over the world that she was going to win it, that this was going to be her Royal Rumble this year. After we witnessed last year's Royal Rumble, she was number 2 in that match, and this year she became number 3. But she was very determined that she was going to be the one that'll outlast all the other 29 women superstars. Now we're going to go back to SmackDown and listen to the clip of course, of how Bianca Belair was coming in and ready to give out the speech of how emotional she was winning it, how her parents were so invested seeing that their baby girl was finally successful, became the biggest talk of the town when it came to this year's Royal Rumble, and what is going to be the future for Bianca Belair as it comes to a certain championship, and who does she want to face coming up at WrestleMania. So we're going to take a look at that in just a bit. But you can't say that Bianca Belair is not in it to win it. This has been a dream of hers for her life.
My phone's been blowing up. Everyone's been hitting me up, giving me my props, and even from numbers I don't even know. Like, do you know how many times this week I've had to respond with new number, new phone, who this? But no, choosing my opponent for WrestleMania is the biggest decision of my career. You have Raw Women's Champion Asuka. You know, with her undefeated streak and all of her championships, she's not just the Empress of tomorrow. She's the Empress all day, every day. And then we have our very own SmackDown Women's Champion, my girl, Sasha Banks. She's a Grand Slam champion, and she's even whooping bounty hunters in a galaxy far, far away. Like, there's a reason why I'm so excited every time I've gotten a team with her. But I know that if I want to put the EST in WrestleMania, I'm going to have to do it my way.
Bianca. Before you make your decision, may I offer a little advice? If you say Asuka, I could certainly see that. I can understand it. And I am quite certain that you can defeat Asuka. But if you say Sasha Banks, well, I don't... Look, let me put it like this. You know damn well you can't beat Sasha.
And girl, this past Sunday, you lasted nearly an hour stating your claim to main event WrestleMania. Now, I've been watching you, okay? I've been watching you. I've seen you pick up Otis, so I know you are the strongest. I've seen you chase down and beat Bailey. So I know you are the fastest. But the best? I don't think so. So, Bianca, if you're gonna choose me, then choose me. Because you have it all, but you don't got this. Okay, Sasha, but if I do choose,
You got lucky when you won the Royal Rumble. So if you do decide to choose Sasha, you will lose. Like I told you. Oh my God! And Bianca Belair using her hair as a weapon in the original. Oh my goodness! Reginald gonna think twice about going in business for himself. Reginald needs to realize that he is a sommelier. He's not a manager. He is not a competitor. Reginald is still trying to find his way. He doesn't get careful, it might be certain tables somewhere again. But more importantly, Bianca Belair is yet to make the decision on which champion she will face at WrestleMania. So why should Bianca be in a rush? She's got the world at her fingertips.
The Somalia, Reggie. Now all of a sudden he feels that he has an opinion to stake his voice when he only been in catering for like about 5 minutes. But nonetheless, he looked like a punk. Bianca Belair made him look like a punk when he whipped him with her own hair, with her own long ass. I mean, look at the thing. Look at the thing. Look at the ponytail right here. I mean, come on. That is like a freaking whippersnapper, man. Is he out of his mind? He should have shut his mouth when the going was good. And he paid the price for that. But yeah, you're Bianca Belair. Decision. What title should she go for? But how it looked on SmackDown, it's like, what is really going on with Reggie right here? Is he actually siding with Sasha Banks right here? Does it look like the two sisters separated at birth, Carmella and Sasha Banks, are they actually coming as one or something? Or is this all Reginald's work just to let him know who's really ruling around here on SmackDown?
I don't know what to tell you, but I guess Carmella's still not over the fact that she failed to defeat Sasha Banks last Sunday at the Royal Rumble, but it's like she still wants another shot at the SmackDown Women's title. But eventually, there's gonna be a time where we got the Women's Royal Rumble winner, the EST, and Carmella. Eventually, those two are gonna have to face off one-on-one, because it's, I mean, a lot of people saying that, well, I'm not gonna say a lot of people, but some people, very few people, say that it was a fluke that Bianca Belair ended up outlasting, 10, 15 women or so in the Women's Royal Rumble, especially the legends. I mean, who guest appeared in the Women's Royal Rumble match, and there was no walk in the park. But she proven, she proven why. I mean, for her, EST is her incentive. That's what she says. She says she's the strongest, she's the fastest, she's the fiercest, and so forth. I mean, any adjective with EST at the end is pretty much what Bianca strives for. And I make no mistake that come WrestleMania, she will make her decision. We'll say before WrestleMania, she'll make a decision. But still, like, who would it be? Would it be the boss, Sasha Banks? Would it be the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, come WrestleMania? But like what I'm saying there right now, if there's one thing I do want to see take place before WrestleMania, is to see Bianca and Carmella one-on-one.
Well, I say to conclude this segment talking about Bianca Belair, let's listen into what her reaction is after such an emotional roller coaster after having to complete, as they stated, over an hour of lasting in the Women's Royal Rumble match. We got to hear what were Bianca's exact words right after her Rumble match was over.
Bianca, huge victory for you tonight. On Friday, you said beating Bayley was the biggest win of your career. Does this top it? Oh, beating Bayley was one thing. It was great. But winning the Women's Royal Rumble and lasting over an hour, what can top this other than now going to WrestleMania? This is a great moment. This is a moment that I can't even describe. It's just the answer is a feeling. It's a feeling. How do I feel? It's just a feeling that I can't describe. And I'm just so excited. I'm so ready to go to WrestleMania. Have you put any thought into WrestleMania? I'm just taking one step at a time. You know, I beat Bayley, and then I won the Women's Royal Rumble match. And right now I'm just living in the moment. I got to go call my mom. I got to go call my daddy. I got to go celebrate with my husband, Tez. I'm living in the moment, and after tonight, I'm just going to prepare for WrestleMania, and then I'll focus on who I'm going to face. But all I can say is, you know, you can't spell WrestleMania without EST. So I'm going to show up and show out.
Well, I mean, you know, Bianca Belair was already at that point on top of the world. You know, options are endless, but she's got plenty of time to think very strategically who she's going to choose and what title she wants to aim for at WrestleMania. So even before, I guess, thinking of her options, unfortunately, since we didn't get to see the follow-up from SmackDown, which is the one show that we see on the network. What's it called?
Talking
Smack. It states right here that, of course, Bianca Belair was one of the guests on that show. And knowing how Paul Heyman always speaks the truth, always speak his usual verbiage. He gives his insight on what he says, what he feels towards a specific superstar. And I'm pretty sure once we get into this clip that Paul Heyman is going to give Bianca Belair his honest opinion of what he thinks will be Bianca Belair's future as a future women's champion. Doesn't matter if it's Raw or SmackDown. Let's listen in.
Backstage in the locker room, there's definitely this new sense of confidence, and rightfully so. I know I can sense it. And Paul, you know, talking beforehand, I know he definitely sees it as well. You're a big believer in the EST.
Well, I would be stupid if I wasn't. I mean, this is your moment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I haven't had a chance to tell you that. Really. I mean, just what a magnificent performance inside the Royal Rumble match. And what you have here is the perfect strategy. And you know it's the perfect strategy because Edge has copied you. But enough about that schmuck. Let's talk about you.
Wow.
Here it is. At such a young age, WrestleMania is your moment. Let everyone wait until you're ready to make your decision. You came into WWE. You signed. You came in an unknown. You dominated every single opponent that was put in against you, even when you had little to no experience. You move up to what they call the main roster. And what do? You mop the floor with them. Why? Because you're the EST. You are the BEST in WWE. To me, it doesn't matter which champion you step into the ring. You will go on the day of WrestleMania to the biggest event of the year as a challenger. You will leave WrestleMania, the biggest event of the year, as a champion. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. And then you will have a chance at such a young age to craft out not only a legacy, but what will be looked back on many years from now, decades from now, as the legend of Bianca Belair. There's no one in your league right now. No one. And I personally, as your fan, as your admirer, look forward to seeing at WrestleMania,
hold the title high up in the air to start your journey into legendary status. And it's an honor, a distinct honor, just to witness it happen. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Savor every
Thank you.
moment. Cherish it,
Thank you.
because you will look back on this in years to come as the moment it all happened for you. Remember, you made it happen for yourself.
Bianca, I know. I know. How do you follow that up?
Thank you.
Yes,
I just say
congratulations.
thank you.
Yes.
You know how you follow it up? You take the microphone.
I want to take this mic.
Yes.
Don't be like Big
And
E.
good luck on your road to WrestleMania, B.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm taking a mic.
Well, that is how you endorse the future women's champion Bianca Belair. And like I said, Paul Heyman lately on Talking Smack, he's been giving words of advice. He tells you straight how it is. That's what I love about Paul Heyman. One side of him being the special counsel to the tribal chief on SmackDown, but once he's on Talking Smack, he tells you, he lets you have it how it is, how it's rolled up, and right here he sounds very sincere, very honest. Do you think, Jay, that Bianca Belair will take all of Paul Heyman's words to heart on what she is gonna do and who she chooses when she gets into that ring at WrestleMania as far as women's championship is concerned?
I will most definitely say that, yeah. Hearing those kind of words coming out of Paul Heyman, yes, I would say yes. She's gonna take it. She's gonna take it from now. Because pretty much all that hard work, all of the training, it was there for nothing. This is what pretty much what Bianca Belair strives for, to be the best that she could be, and I mean that literally with BEST, and for someone to come out of the ring so NXT, and of course the first time we saw NXT, she wowed me instantly. She's got, I mean, she was a different skill. She was fresh, and most definitely new, definitely tenacious, and once coming to the main roster, she can show that she can hang, and she's been piling up victory after victory, and pretty much now is the time for her to take her rightful spot at the top of the women's roster in the WWE. But pretty much, like I mentioned, we're gonna find out who will she be gunning for. Will she be going for Asuka in the Raw Women's title, which of course she's past partial history, or will she go for Sasha Banks and the SmackDown Women's title? But nevertheless, she's gonna ride this wave, because it's a good wave. I mean, she's got plenty of momentum, and once come WrestleMania, regardless of who she challenges, pretty much the stars will align for her, and for her to become a future women's champion.
Well, now let's do a general quick recap of Raw. Of course, we already heard the clip of how the show got started. Drew McIntyre was already in the ring after having a successful WWE match for defending his championship against Goldberg. Of course, Goldberg at the end paid his respects to Drew McIntyre. He passed the baton, and obviously that means something for Drew McIntyre, who he stated that he did watch Goldberg in his prime, being the ferocious monster and machine that he was when he was the quick draw, being just punch, kicks, punch, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, and on to the next challenge and who's next and whatnot. Of course, Drew McIntyre came in. He was already giving his speech and already giving his giving his opinion about the Rumble itself, and seeing who's stepping up to the plate and throwing congratulations and acknowledging all those superstars. Of course, Edge was already coming out and giving this piece on what he should have done, and hey, this is me. This is the Royal Rumble winner. I can go for that title at WrestleMania if I wanted to, and And of course, Sheamus came out of nowhere, and of course, he was ready to show his true colors, and indeed he did finally after all this time, and he broke kicked the champion right in the face, which of course was going to lead to a singles challenge between them two later on that night. Bobby Lashley against Riddle for the U.S. Championship title. Bobby Lashley was in it to take completely out Riddle. That match lasted really, really short, but something inside of Bobby Lashley snapped. And, of course, he retains the championship. And, of course, in order for Edge to have his focus sharp-minded on who's he going to choose for WrestleMania, he needs to finish his business with Randy Orton definitely this past Monday night. He has done so. We will talk about that match in just a bit. Xavier Wood against Mustafa, that singles match. Finally, he gets the leader of Retribution. The only difference now is, of course, Ali has got his guys, with them on the outside. Kofi Kingston returned, but he's not officially cleared to be an active competitor, but he's there to cheer Xavier Woods on. And, of course, with the help of the distraction of Kofi Kingston, while the ref was being distracted by the guys of Retribution, Xavier Woods got the upper hand and finally got a win over on Mustafa Ali. The Hurt Business and Lucha House Party for the Raw Tag Team titles. Here we thought that we were going to see the same thing over again as far as Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, of them not getting along and who's showing up who and all that same rap from so many weeks ago. We thought that Lucha House Party we're gonna have the upper hand in tasting the Raw Tag Team titles, but to my surprise, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric worked like one formidable machine. Even though at the very end, just when Cedric was about to let them have it, Shelton Benjamin tagged himself in, did his finisher, did the 1, 2, 3, but Cedric realized, he checked himself where the heck he was going to go, so he just let that slide, and hey, they're still champions. They're in it in the cap of the Hurt Business. That's what matters most. Of course, we witnessed a triple threat tag team women's match to see who would be the number one contenders for the women's tag team championships, who unfortunately, because of a distraction of the Nature Boy Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, Charlotte Flair was not in it all the way. She dropped the ball, and that costed her team the women's tag team titles. Once again, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax hold those titles, so they were in it for the number one contendership match. And once again, the distraction of Lacey Evans and the Nature Boy got Charlotte Flair discombobulated, and all she did was just tag Asuka, and she walked away from her partner. Obviously, that wasn't going to do any good. So we saw for the first time ever, and to my surprise, Naomi and Lana are the number one contenders to the women's tag team championship match. And of course, we witnessed the return of Carlito at the Royal Rumble this past Sunday. It was great seeing him again, and to my surprise, he actually showed up to be a part of a tag team match with Jeff Hardy to take on Elias and Jackson Riker. So it is cool, but yeah, we finally got to see a little bit of Carlito. Of course, there was a trailer indicating of everything he's done in the past, and this was one heck of a match. Nostalgia in different ways, but it was cool seeing Carlito active on that match. Of course, they showed a video package of the history of Edge and Randy Orton. Randy Orton did a back promo stage, pretty much on what he needs to do in order to focus on WrestleMania. He's got to be done with Randy Orton completely. And Alexa Bliss faced her former best friend Nikki Cross, and unfortunately for Nikki Cross, she got to see the different metamorphoses of the Alexa Bliss that she used to know at one time. And all it was just flashback and mind games, and that really knocked Nikki Cross out of her rocker until Alexa Bliss got the win over her former best friend. And of course, Edge and Randy Orton was another stupendous match between them two that really escalated and put the final touch on this rivalry between these two men. And because of a distraction that Randy Orton was ready to give the RKO to Edge, once again, Alexa Bliss popped up out of nowhere, popped on top of sitting on the top turnbuckle and just foamed dark black blood out of her mouth. And it's like, we haven't seen that type of stuff since the Ultimate Warrior got the voodoo from Papa Shango, and then all that black paint was dripping all over his painted face and stuff like that. So in a way, it's kind of a tweaking thing. It scared me at first when I was a little kid with the whole word thing, but as we grow up now, it's like, okay, that's just to psych you out. And indeed, it did psych Randy Orton out. He got the spear from Edge, the 1, 2, 3, and Edge finally put the nail in the coffin on his rivalry with Randy Orton. Now, as we move on to SmackDown, I can definitely say that how the show started out was just like how I explained it. We thought that we were going to see Edge, and already Roman Reigns was already complaining, why the heck do I always have to come out first? And he wanted Edge to be out there already. But the thing of it was, Edge wasn't there yet. He hasn't arrived to the building at that point. So that already got the head of the table pissed off, and we were seeing a whole different side of him. He just exploded. Like, when normally he's a mild, calm-mannered man, we just got to see a whole different side of him. But he stated that he wanted Edge's answer before the night was over. And, of course, we witnessed one of the most athletic matches between Daniel Bryan and Cesaro. And here's an inside tip. It turns out Cesaro re-signed his contract with WWE, knowing the fact that right now he's getting his opportunity. He's getting that push once again. So we're going to see how long this push is going to last, because even though he's on SmackDown right now and everything good is on SmackDown right now, I mean, Cesaro is on fire. He already had 2 good matches with Daniel Bryan, and he has had other matches as well, but Cesaro has been on point. I mean, he's one of the most gifted athletes that we have witnessed besides Daniel Bryan and others in that locker room. But Cesaro is showing his stuff, and like nothing. Cesaro's taking on all those comers, and he's just laying it on pretty good. I'll tell you that. Once again, the rivalry with King Corbin and the Mysterios is still almost the same thing. But this week it became the one-on-one match with King Corbin and Dominic Mysterio. Here we were going to see Corbin take that win all over again and embarrass the Mysterios once more. But unfortunately, the King got duped when he thought that he would have it handled before the bell would ring and he would desecrate the Mysterios by the entrance ramp. And they only got over one on him. Rey Mysterio was underneath, pulling the leg of King Corbin before even getting into the ring, and that was the opportunity that Dominic Mysterio needed in order to get the win. And he did get the win, and they pulled an Eddie Guerrero move. They cheated, and they stole the victory from King Corbin. And all they need to do is lie about it. It's like, no, we didn't cheat. But we did it on our own accord. Dominic didn't cheat. He did it on his own accord. So that's all they need to do is just, they cheated, they stole, but now they need to lie about it. And they'll bring that vintage Eddie Guerrero style back into the Mysterios. I think that's an element that's missing from these guys. Ruby Riott versus Bayley. That one was a really pretty good match between these two women. Unfortunately, the resume girl, hopefully her name pops into my head. I'm not even gonna question that. But anyway, she was there on commentating the Resume Girl and try and see what is the spot that she can pick on to assist Ruby Riott. But unfortunately for Ruby Riott, that cost her a lot, and Bayley seized the opportunity to get the win, and indeed it costed Ruby Riott a win against the former SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. Bayley saw a successful match right there and walked out with the win, at the expense of the Riott Squad and the Resume Girl. I mean, she's just there to blow up the wins for anybody that she decides to interrupt matches on. That was just, bad. Of course, we had a decent match with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, going against Otis and Chad Gable. It was all right. But I think the match that really, really made a difference was the Triple Threat Intercontinental Championship with Apollo Crews, former champion Sami Zayn, the political prisoner of sorts, the what do they call him? The man who thinks that it's
he thinks
there's a conspiracy against
theory.
them. The conspiracy theory thing against them, and the current champion, Intercontinental Champion Big E. They had great spots, action all over from all these guys. I mean, hats off to all three of them. At the end, Big E still retains the championship. And, of course, we already talked about the segment with Sasha Banks, Carmella, and the Somali Reggie with Bianca Belair deciding what's going to happen. And, of course, to end the final segment of SmackDown was when Kevin Owens interrupted the chatter between Edge and Roman Reigns just to stun the Universal Champion at the very end. So what is going to be Edge's decision? We don't know. That's what we're going to have to stay tuned to. And, of course, on last night, 33 years ago, the main event unleashed a match between Hulk Hogan and the late, great Andre the Giant that set a lot of eyeballs on that fight. Way long time ago, it was one of those epic matches that the world wanted to witness because it's like a once-in-a-lifetime deal, even though Hogan and Andre have done battles all over the world more times than that. There is one thing we got to talk about. Of course, at the Royal Rumble, Bad Bunny made his debut. He made his appearance known. He was there to present the song of Booker T, and the Hall of Famer himself was there present, of course. And he unleashed the song for the world to hear, if the rest of the world didn't hear it. But here we're going to, of course, play a piece of what is now the most popular song involving a legendary Hall of Famer, Booker T.
tratando de hacerle secuela. Si están en la fila, nadie se me cuela. Ustedes pagando para irse virales, yo pegando temas sin hacerle promo. La gente se pregunta cómo desde chamaquito saben cómo somos, nunca cuido de aquí. Busca el T, tirando un break, estoy en mi pick, cabrón. Y voy a seguir en mi pick, cabrón. Soy un rey, papelón, busca el T. Estoy en mi pick. Y voy a seguir en mi pick. Ey, ey, mírame, que tú ustedes son feas. Can you dig it, sucker?
Now, that was an incredible performance from Bad Bunny this past Sunday at the Royal Rumble, singing the most heard song in reference to the Hall of Famer Booker T. From what I can tell from the lyrics, this was obviously influenced when Booker played the gimmick of King Booker, because the main chorus, like how I mentioned previously, was based on that gimmick that in WWE, of course, was successful. But Jade, the talk of the town is that WWE has plans for Bad Bunny and they want him to perform in a wrestling match for this upcoming WrestleMania. So they already got something started as far as a storyline is concerned involving The Miz and John Morrison. So even though they don't have the clips of what I'm going to describe, right after his performance, right after Bad Bunny's performance, Miz and Morrison went in the back looking for Bad Bunny to obviously talk about business. And they wanted to do kind of like a joint business where it's Miz and Morrison and Bad Bunny working together. But, you know, Bad Bunny, like the artist that he is and the badass that he is, wasn't interested. So obviously Miz and Morrison, they felt like they got egg on their face and they weren't going to stand for it. So during the Royal Rumble match, Miz was already coming out. I think it was in anywhere from 1 to 10, I think.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there. And then he noticed the DJ setup. And Miz went bonkers and he trashed the DJ set. So right afterwards, you know, Bad Bunny came out and he was wondering, you know, what the heck was up with that, man? Like, really, dude? So it's just you know, nuts that would even happen. And I'm pretty sure, you know, Miz and Morrison, they weren't going to take this back with a pinch of salt. Obviously, that wasn't going to be the case. We're going to listen to a clip where this one guy, I don't remember his name from the bump, actually talked to Miz and Morrison about their thoughts of how Bad Bunny disrespected these two guys when it came to wanting to do business, and Bad Bunny refused. Let's listen in.
Miz, what happened? Bad Bunny? What the hell? First he disrespects me. Does he not understand his role as a performer? He's a performer. Why did you go after his ones and twos? Why not exactly the ones and twos? Because he doesn't know what's about to happen to him. I should say, Bunny is all little kid. I'm the next WWE Championship champ. He's about to be a snack for NCMIC and John Trick. We are sick of being disrespected here in WWE, whether it's by celebrities or by the WWE Superstar or anybody backstage. We're sick of it. We are Miz and Morrison, the greatest tag team of the 21st century. So, what about Bring the Pain and leave a Bad Bunny shake stain all over the ring? Sorry. Bye, guys. Sorry. There's Miz and Morrison, clearly not happy with Bad Bunny
And why they shouldn't be. I mean, they, like I said, he basically laid egg on their face, after such a statement that Bad Bunny made. And like they said right here, of course, he makes his way out after Miz destroyed the DJ set. Miz and Morrison were already inside of the Rumble match. The refs have been blocking Bad Bunny's way. Miz and Morrison has been eliminated by the debut of Damian Priest in the Rumble, who, of course, Damian Priest, we haven't seen him since his match with Karrion Kross some weeks ago on NXT. But this was where Damian Priest was going to debut in the main roster already. And, Damian Priest, Bad Bunny, that looks like it's going to be a duo in the works for WrestleMania coming up. And while we're at it, we're going to watch the clip from Monday Night Raw where Miz TV, Miz and Morrison bring Bad Bunny in, and of course they talk to Bad Bunny about what happened at the Rumble and see if they can re-talk business again with the three of them involved to get to have Bad Bunny change his mind and hopefully does the right thing in their eyes. So we're gonna listen to that in just a bit. And obviously, unfortunately for Miz and Morrison, it ended up being the same result. But because when it comes to Bad Bunny, no means no, and he moves on with what he's got to do.
Last night we made history. Edge and Bianca Belair won the men's and women's Royal Rumble respectively. Drew McIntyre beat Goldberg. And we have new women's tag team champions. But the star of the night had to be the international recording megastar Bad Bunny. His performance was nothing short of spectacular. Bad Bunny is truly a gifted artist. The man is a visionary whose music inspires people all around the world to get up and have a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome MTV BMA winner, Bad Bunny! Oh my goodness, please stop that. Well, there he is, a multi-platinum recording artist, Bad Bunny. I think we both did things that we regret last night, and two wrongs don't make a right, and I think we both can be bigger men about this, so I just want to apologize from the deepest part of my heart. Okay, I accept your apology, miss. Thank you. Is there anything you want to say to us?
Really?
No. You don't want to apologize? For getting involved in the Royal Rumble and costing The Miz and John Morrison our shot at main eventing WrestleMania? I mean, there must be something. Look, John. Sorry. You're a smart guy, and we heard from a little birdie that you want to become a WWE superstar. Is that correct? Yes, it's one of my dreams. The NBA. Well, you have come to the right place, my friend, because many superstars underneath my learning tree have had very successful careers. Take Daniel Bryan. I took this average-looking B-plus player and made him into a beloved international superstar and WrestleMania main eventer. All we would ask in return is just a little favor of helping us record an album. We get Grammys, you get Slammies. We got a lot of ideas. Okay, check this out. Give it to 'em. Miz Morrison and the Bad Bunny travel around the world making all the money. iPhone dad en los palabras, pero nos bailes como chupacabra. Say, hey, hop, somos caballeros, güeros, caballeros, güeros. Listen,
Guys, you are special.
Thank you.
But I'm not interested.
You're not interested. Estás loco?
No.
Nurse, you don't apologize. Now you're not interested. Do you have any idea where you are or who you are talking to? You're not talking to Shakira or J-Lo. We are Miz and Morrison. You are in our ring on our show. And let me tell you something. This ring can be a very dangerous place.
Relax. I know who you are. But the only reason that I came here is because a good friend wanted to be on Miss TV.
It's like Bad Bunny had something up his sleeve. In the form of Damian Priest. It is lightning fire. The NXT superstar Damian Priest has come to Monday Night Raw. Miz and Morrison are none too happy. The man who eliminated both Miz and Morrison for the Royal Rumble match last night. Priest had 4 eliminations, lasted nearly 16 minutes, and apparently made a friend of Bad Bunny.
And Bad Bunny making the right kind of friend.
Oh, and a big right to Mr. Money in the Bank. Well, Priest wasn't here to talk. Priest wins Miz TV with Bad Bunny.
That was awesome. We got to see the debut of Damian Priest on Monday Night Raw, thanks to the introduction of Bad Bunny. It looks like Bad Bunny and Damian Priest are going to be a duo. So I believe what's going to happen at WrestleMania will be a tag team match between Miz and Morrison against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. Now, I got to say, before I forget, Bad Bunny looked badass wearing his Tego Calderon t-shirt, which I believe had to be one of his influences getting into the genre of reggaeton and hip-hop. And we know Tego Calderon, of course, he's had a history. Before even reggaeton became the popular thing back then in the early part of the millennium, he was already doing a different type of genre music. So, yeah, Jade, I mean, it's cooking up right here. I think we might have an interesting angle with all of these 3 superstars plus an international recording sensation in Bad Bunny.
No doubt about it. And I just want to point out that since his emergence onto the music scene, Bad Bunny has pretty much been built on hit after hit. And I just want to say something right now for those of you. I'm going to speak a little Spanish. Para los que están sintonizando a este canal, si ustedes trabajan para la cadena Univision, tengo que poner una advertencia. Sé que tienen una premiación en unas semanas. Tengo que advertir este mes. Si ven a 2 hombres güeros que se llaman Mike Mizanin y John Morrison, tienen que tomar esta advertencia. Llamen a los esfuerzos, llamen a la seguridad, llamen a la policía. No permiten que estos sonsos que entren al edificio, porque si entran y luego de repente le encuentran a Bad Bunny y le dan unas palizas. Eso no es bueno para ustedes. No. There, I said it.
So what Jade was trying to say just now, he basically was stating that, of course, Bad Bunny is going to be a part of an award show called Premio Lo Nuestro, which is basically one of many international recording artist awards, the different genres of music in the Latino community. So he's stating for the people, since obviously this is a show being shown on the network of Univision, that if for some reason, if Miz and Morrison are planning to go there and sabotage Bad Bunny's moment, if he gets any type of an award, doesn't matter what type of category, they'll probably have a plan to, come in and spoil it. So if those two get started,
trying to enter the award ceremony incognito. Knowing how Miz and Morrison, they got some trick up their sleeve.
it's like if they get into the building, have security ready beforehand to avoid their entrance into the building, because the award show is taking place when, on the 18th of February.
It's somewhere on the 22nd. I know it's I don't know the
Actually, yeah, it is the 18th of February.
the 18th of
Thursday,
the 18th of
February
So it's
18th.
in around 2 weeks.
Yeah, within 2 weeks for sure. So Jade, definitely, Bad Bunny is going to be a part of WWE. Of course, with WrestleMania coming up, it looks like them four are going to be in the works for something special to happen. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about is having material for them, for the fans to still be engaged with these four. That way, their build up, that way their build up towards WrestleMania doesn't go sour, pretty much. And it can't go sour. I mean, you got Bad Bunny, for Christ's sakes. I mean, this kid has been rolling ever since 2016. I remember when he the first song that I heard from Bad Bunny was Chambea, that involved the Nature Boy Ric Flair in his music video, and of course the infamous "Woo" in that track. We know that Bad Bunny is a major WWE fan, that the WWE is another part of his inspiration for him to be successful in his life and in his musical career. So obviously for Bad Bunny, that means the world to him. That means something to him. And now he's realizing all of his dreams, because he's living in the now. He's living in the moment of him recording his music, winning Grammys, winning awards, being recognized around the world, touring around the world, being involved with WWE, with the wrestlers that obviously meant the world to him, watching these superstars while growing up and being the fan that he is. And it's obviously for him, it's paying off, having those worlds being revolved and becoming one in Bad Bunny's eyes. Obviously that means something to him. So now we move on to NXT, and we are going to, of course, talk about the matches that we witnessed for that show. Of course, like I said, another decent show. When it came to the semifinals of the Dusty Cup women's tournament, we saw a good show between Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. Caden Carter. The nerves are kicking again. Going up against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, it was obvious that Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, these are the women that have been dominating the scene ever since those two have been paired together. And of course, they weren't going to be denied. But still, Catanzaro and Carter gave their heart and soul to give it their all to, make it through this tournament. And unfortunately, it didn't not went the way they wanted it. Kai and Gonzalez obviously advanced to towards the finals. We witnessed the origin story of Tian Sha, the woman that is obviously looking like a female Shang Tsung with Xia Li and dude on the side. So we're gonna hear more about her in the upcoming weeks, obviously. Leon Ruff and Austin Theory. Of course, they had a formidable match, but knowing Johnny Gargano was there, obviously it wasn't going to be up to no good. Lucha House Party were still being on a roll as they faced Legado del Fantasma in the men's Dusty Cup quarterfinals, and of course Legado del Fantasma advance in that tournament. Santos Escobar and Kurt Stallion for the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. Kurt was definitely showing his stuff, but of course Santos Escobar was just too much, and he got his guys on the side. And still NXT Cruiserweight Champion Santos Escobar. course, we got to witness the angle between Pete Dunne, NXT champion Finn Balor, and of course, a surprising entrance of Edge, letting Finn Balor know that, hey, if I decide, I'm going to come for that title and I'm going to win it. But of course, there was a backstage part where Karrion Kross lets Edge know that he don't need to worry about Finn Balor. That if he wants a championship, he's got to look at Karrion Kross when that time comes. For the semifinals, of course, the second match with the men's Dusty Cup tournament, Undisputed Era against Ciampa and Thatcher. My goodness, that match. These four guys were just putting on a clinic, man. They were definitely, being athletic and going from one post to the other. And these guys, they were just brutalizing each other, man. Like seriously, they were just brutalizing each other like nothing. And of course, there were segments, one in the back that took place between Johnny Gargano, wanting to talk to William Regal, and his surprise, he saw Kushida coming out of that office, and all of a sudden we were getting a beatdown between the two men. And it looks like they might have a match for the North American Championship coming up for the next NXT TakeOver event. Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, and Io Shirai, of course, they were giving a little preview of what people can expect to see with this triple threat NXT Women's title match. And that was pretty much it. Like I said, that's another decent show. We're going to jump to AEW Dynamite. And Jade, once again, another fantastic Dynamite episode. Of course, they were dealing with beach breaks, so they had incredible matches on the card. Of course, there's very few matches, but it took a lot of time for those 2 hours to be completed with such action. Like, for example, they started out with the Tag Team Battle Royal match, and it involved the Young Bucks. They were in it. So the stipulation was that if the Young Bucks win the match, then they would get to choose their opponents. On the other hand, if the Young Bucks failed to win the match, then they, of course, would be eliminated, and they would have to wait to see who their opponents would be. So just to get to the point, somehow we got the feeling that, yes, Chris Jericho and MJF, they were a tag team on the rise within the ranks of the Inner Circle, and they have won the Battle Royal. But of course, this is already creating more tension and dissension within the Inner Circle, because the guy who's not happy about it is Sammy Guevara, and with all the reasons in the world, So Jericho and MJF, obviously they got to get this together. But whilst Jericho left, catching up to Sammy on the outside, MJF was already having words with the rest of the Inner Circle. What the heck did they talk about? I guess hopefully we can find out coming up this Wednesday. One of my biggest disappointments was a match that I was looking so forward to between Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker, who I still believe needs a dental assistant by her side. Dr. Britt Baker won the match, but the match, these two were just ready to tear each other apart. They were really getting physical. They were showing one another who really deserved to win. Thunder Rosa's was, her performance was the best, but still fell short to Dr. Britt Baker. Of course, she was looking for an open window for the lockjaw and to have Thunder Rosa tap out. The wedding of the century. I don't even know if I should talk about it. My God. Penelope Ford looked gorgeous in white. My God. That's what every virgin should look like. For God's sakes. She was just gorgeous, man. Penelope Ford dressed in white, she was absolutely gorgeous. Kip Sabian is a pencil neck punk ass. I swear. But he's a lucky bastard, okay? I'll say that right now. He's a lucky, fortunate bastard. Anyway, the wedding of the century progressed. It was cool, but knowing Miro having the history of weddings and such, he just wanted it to be done and over with. But little did they know, Charles Taylor had a plan in mind. He had a plan in mind. He locked Miro with foot cuffs to, I believe, the pole of the ring, and he didn't realize it until he felt that he was like locked up, chained up, and underneath the cake was none other than Orange Cassidy, and he popped out as a surprise. And boy, did that created bedlam right there, right then. You know, it's funny. But unfortunately for Penelope Ford, her wedding ceremony got ruined. The last thing I wanted to see was cream filling all over that beautiful, cute little face of hers. You know, that's just wrong. that's so wrong. But still, a very entertaining segment. Thank you for that. Shaq, of course, being the arrogant man that he is, the intimidating man that he is, you know, being that with that smug look on his face, of course, they showed him where he was going to show what he was going to do to Cody once he got his hands on him. And that is the ripoff of the Judas Effect from Chris Jericho. I don't know what he called it. Call it like the whatever. But anyway, he gave it a name. It's pretty much the Judas Effect that Chris Jericho came up with. And that's his finisher. That's what Cody can expect. Well, Cody, if you're listening, American Nightmare, my friend, I know you're going to have one hell of a strategy that you can even duck from that thing and, you know, make Shaq Fu yell uncle. We seen a video package from Jade Cargill, of course. See, now, I think with Jade Cargill, they went with it the wrong way. If only they wouldn't have her act so hood and I wouldn't hate her so much, but come out like a quiet, silent, like maybe like a black version of China. Oh, Jade Cargill would have been golden because we see her work out and we see how sharp and muscular and physical she is. If they would have just had her quiet, I think she would have been golden. And being a badass too. She don't need to act hood just to get over. If they would have had her quiet, still show off the muscles and show what a badass she can be in the ring, I say she would have been golden, honestly. And I wouldn't be hating that, you know, that nasty hood rat attitude and you know, just being arrogant about it. You know, it would have went a whole different way. Once again, Eddie Kingston, Lance Archer, they went at it, and this was a lumberjack match.
Yes, lumberjack match.
I mean, my God, this was a step up from their first bout, which of course, you know, Eddie Kingston cheated with the involvement of the Butcher, the Blade, and the Rabid Bunny. And it looks like it was going to be the same way, but now, you know, with the involvement of the Lumberjacks on the outside of the ring. Nonetheless, Eddie Kingston, Lance Archer, they definitely put this one over. It was just one of those awesome, they had awesome points in the match. They were so physical with each other. They stepped it up a notch once again, and hats off to both of them. But yeah, this time it was Lance Archer that got the win. We also witnessed the tag match with involving Hangman Page and Matt Hardy, and they did pretty good. They did pretty good as a tag team.
Yes.
They should keep this going. I think this is one interesting angle that's fresh, and I think with Matt Hardy by Hangman's side, that'll keep Hangman to be, you know, back where he can be built up and having to trust somebody to be on his side, for sure. Of course, the match that has been promoted for Revolution coming up on March 7th is the tag team street fight between Sting and AEW TNT champion Darby Allin going up against Brian Cage, the FTW champion, and Absolute Ricky Starks. But what in these promos I'm already getting sick of is having Team Taz antagonize Sting and Darby Allin each and every single time. That always happens each and every single time. It's like, of course, and Little Ricky, like, come on, dudes. Why don't you just get physical for once? I know Sting can't get physical. I get that. And they're saving it for the paper match. We still don't know if it's going to be something cinematic or if this is going to be something that's going to happen live. So we're going to wait to see when that happens. But still, they had more of the same of what we already seen, in previous weeks. And of course, to top it all off, the 6-man tag that took place with AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and the Impact Tag Team Champions Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson as they faced 2/3 of Triángulo de la Muerte, Rey Fenix, Pac, and the former AEW champion, now acknowledging the current IWGP United States champion, Jon Moxley. And this is a title from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'll tell you why right now they decided to acknowledge that information. Of course, those 6 guys, they were up and down, flying about, rolling all around. My God, man, that match was so incredible. These guys have going at each other's throats nonstop. Kenny already having history with all 3 of those guys, with Phoenix, with Pac, with Moxley, man. This was just a perfect storm for all of this to brew in one time. But the biggest shocker of the night, while we already had on the other side Edge appearing on all 3 shows, and especially NXT, which was a really good surprise. The biggest surprise in AEW's side was the appearance of Kenta, formerly known as Hideo Itami, in NXT when he used to be a part of WWE. Right after he was done with WWE, he decided to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and become a member of Bullet Club, known as Kenta. Recently, Kenta Jon Moxley having issues on the other side of the world in Japan, part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jon Moxley has been their United States champion for a very good while now, maybe close to a year. I mean, I've came unplugged with New Japan, but I shouldn't have, knowing that Jon Moxley still has that United States championship. But Kenta won he won their version of Money in the Bank. Of course, he's got a briefcase where he can challenge for any title that he won, and he's going for Jon Moxley's IWGP United States championship. So Kenta and Moxley have been going at it, but this is the first time where Kenta has crossed over and went after Moxley. I think all of this is just to headline their match for at the Road of New Beginning.
Yeah,
where Moxley indeed will be defending his IWGP United States Championship against Kenta, and this will be at the end of February, I believe. Or no, the beginning of the end of February. I think it's 22nd, I believe.
somewhere on there.
Since we saw the promos just a few days ago, I think that's going to be one hell of a fantastic match. And those matches in Japan, they don't disappoint. It's wrestling all around, and those are the ones that fans really got to watch. I think I'm going to get back on NewJapanWorld.com, because maybe not for that match, but I think what will happen afterwards. But yeah, that was the biggest shocker of the night. We see Kenta arriving. He's in his Go to Sleep Club on the sleeve, Bullet Club logo. But now the question is, are Kenny Omega and Kenta on that same page, since Omega and the Good Brothers want to be back on that island of relevancy? I say no. And that leads to the topic that we're going to talk about right now. We're going to do it in about 5-10 minutes. Is everything that's going on with the Bullet Club a work? Jay, let's get to some history. Of course, the Bullet Club started in 2013. Finn Balor, formerly known as Prince Devitt, he's the man that got the ball rolling of starting this club. Him along with Bad Luck Fale, who is still in the Bullet Club after all these years, one of the main OGs. Along with him was Tama Tonga, who is still in the Bullet Club as one of the main OGs. Those two are still in the club after all these years. Of course, after them three, of course, Carl Anderson joined up. So those four were the premier four that started to get this club rolling. Then, of course, the Young Bucks got added. Then Doc Gallows got added. And that's pretty much right there the core. There's been guys after that, like the Tokyo Pimp. I'm trying to remember in sequence of who joined in the group. And I believe already at that point, Kenny Omega, after before joining the Bullet Club, he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think around 2009, 2010. He had some incredible matches. I actually got to see him in NewJapanWorld.com since I didn't get to see him precisely at that point when he was already young and performing. Kenny Omega was just dynamic at that point. But once he got into the Bullet Club, he became more formidably dangerous. And he became one of the toe-on-toe, nonchalant superstar, a hell of a performer. I mean, this guy was already going beyond 5 stars. He's all about giving a 10-star match because that's how confident Kenny Omega is in his skills at that time. And it looks like they're trying to give a little flashback of doing a little throwback, if you will, of what Kenny Omega used to do. Because, of course, now being in AEW, he kind of toned himself down a bit, which is, of course, the fans around the world are begging to bring that Omega of old, the cleaner of old, when he was a formidable superstar and kicking ass all around with some hard-hitting, knee shots and V-triggers and, the one-wing angel at the very end. But, I mean, this guy was very physical and snapdragons. I mean, come on. If I could sit here and be honest, and we witnessed this, Jade, his best time, Kenny Omega's best time was in New Japan as part of the Bullet Club when he was leading the Bullet Club after kicking AJ Styles out. And he was aiming for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and the man that had it at the time was none other than Kazuchika Okada. And Okada was the man. Okada was a God-fearing, badass superstar. And Omega and Okada, they had at least, I think, 3 consecutive matches back-to-back. Kenny couldn't beat him in the first 2, but still, they put on one hell of a show. I believe the second one is when they had, when they went over the 60 minutes, and it ended up a tie.
Yes.
And these two were barely physically spent, but my God, they put on one hell of a performance, both of them. I couldn't even believe my eyes. I'm like, where in the hell is this type of wrestling coming from? It's like, this should be in America right now, but it's in Japan. But still, at that time, I mean, it was red hot. It was on fire at that point. That's something that we don't see today here in the United States, unfortunately, because everything is scripted, everything is toned down, everything is close to 15, 20 minutes or whatever. It's just not the same. But still, Omega and Okada, they had amazing mega matches back then. The third match, that was the definite one, and Omega finally succeeded in becoming the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Once he started with the Bullet Club, he was a junior. He was a junior weight, and he was aiming for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship at that time. But once that was done, his goal was to become a heavyweight, and he wanted to have the main title of New Japan, and he succeeded at that. But along the way, we already seen this story before with the NWO, where, of course, you got the top guys of the NWO, and you had your B-plus players. So that's what caused the friction in the NWO, where you got the top guns and you got the B players. And that's the same thing with the Bullet Club. You got your top guys and you got the B players. And that happened once Kenny Omega arrived, and he changed the entire landscape when you got the Bullet Club and you got the Elite. The Elite. And obviously, you know, that was stemming away from Bullet Club. You know, it's like what Tama Tonga was stating, and I'm going to gather up that footage, because having to hear Tama Tonga having to burn Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers a whole new ass, I mean, that's just that's something that you don't hear every day from Tama Tonga. And of course, he's pissed off in sense, and he can say anything that he wants. But you know, he was really, really letting him have it. I mean, he was speaking truth at that point. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to play a little bit of some of that talk when it's concerning these guys and trying to take back some of the stuff of old that we already lived it. There's no point in reliving it here, because we already have the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club is still intact with New Japan, and that's the ones that are concerning now. Not the guys that were in it before. That's some guys reliving their old glory days in the time of now. So that, in Tama's eyes, that don't mean anything. So let's listen in.
Rugged ass bootleg club here want to testify. They want to come check out the smoke, man. All right, let's do this. First of all, man, they can't even get on the same page, huh? We got Kenny Omega coming up in a pumpkin patch Bullet Club shirt, right? From how many years ago? Cut up.
It was a throwback, yeah.
Yeah, the Halloween shirt.
Man, if I was Dave Meltzer, I would have given the shirt 5 stars and given Kenny Omega 2 stars, because this tanning was damn more orange than a damn pumpkin, man. Who taught you how to tan, bro? Huh? Damn. You need to stop using that maple syrup as tanning, because that's not it, bro. That's not it. All right? And let me tell you something, Carl Anderson. Nice sweatshirt, man. I like it. I'll give you props because you're an OG, right? Well, I'm going to correct everybody that's been saying, he's the OG. You still got to say, are y'all fucking crazy? Are y'all fucking out of your mind? Huh? He's an OG. What the hell? You haven't been in the group for 5 fucking years, bro. You've gone on to greener pastures, huh? You don't have no say no more in Bullet Club. You no longer claim Bullet Club. You were the OC. You were the Bulletproof. You were Bullet Brigade. You were the Bullet Nobody Cares. You were this. You were that. How many goddamn times you gonna try, dog? It ain't gonna work. Alright? When you ain't got the heart and soul in it, it's just bullshit. Come on now, man. I don't care if you're an OG. Huh? You're off in the wind now, bro. You're written off. The only OGs that matter right now is Bad Luck Fale and the good bad guy, Tama Tonga. That's it, man. Prince David got no say. AJ Styles got no say. Kenny Omega damn sure ain't got no motherfucking say and motherfucking nothing. All right? Get your non-tanning ass out of here. All right? And Gallows, man, that's fucked up, bro. You know what's fucked up, Gallows? It's fucked up. The Carl Anderson and guy named Kenny Omega didn't tell you the joke, bro. The joke is you get old shit to wear, not spend all that money on new goddamn gear. How you gonna be the only one that spent money on new goddamn gear, bro? Huh? Come on, Gallows, bro. But you know what? I can't blame Gallows because he probably sold all his old shit, man. You know, he's a hustler. That's where I learned my hustle from. But Gallows, man, they didn't let you in on the joke, bro. I'm sorry. You had to blow all that damn money on new Bullet Club gear, and you're not even Bullet Club. Damn. I would take every single one of y'all dumbasses to Bullet Club court. You remember that? But you're not in Bullet Club. So, it'll be fair if we take you to a bootleg Bullet Club court. That'll be better, right? That'll be better. I would like that, man. And let the fans decide what your penance should be. Ooh,
I think that would be pretty cool. I think that would be pretty cool if that would ever come to fruition on, on what we decide what the penance should be. But, yeah, that's crazy.
You
the firing squad definitely sent Kenny Omega a message back in San Francisco. But with Anderson and Gallows, it feels like there was always that room there. There was always maybe a place for them to come back however, they were never quite kicked out, let's say, in the way that Omega or Styles
It would have been all gravy, man. It would have been all gravy if it came back to Japan. It would have been a big-ass reunion. I would have thrown a party. I would have got like 900 sponsors all over the place. We would have thrown out everything for these guys, man. You sold out to the one team that we kicked out. How you going to have a reunion with guys that got kicked out? What kind of shit is that, bro? What kind of shit is that? That's the dumbest, stupidest shit I ever heard, bro. Dang, man. Y'all can't get any dumber than that, man. But I expect that. I expected you guys to play that stupid card, man. I expected that. Come on, you can do better than that. Carl Schmanderson, huh? Luke Schmallows. Come on, man.
It's definitely. I mean, it definitely feels like this was a line drawn in the sand. I mean, if there's anything the past few months have proven, is that New Japan can get people from America into Japan. I mean, you're in Japan right now. If they wanted to get the Good Brothers, if the Good Brothers were going to be coming to Japan, they could have made that happen. But it feels like, do you think they maybe took the easy way, going Impact, going AEW, stay in America?
Of course. Once a sellout, always a sellout. And I'll never forget that. Right there, because they're always about that quick buck, man. Never holding off, knowing the right time to pull the trigger. You guys, man, but the click, 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 no bang, man. Nothing. If you guys think that you guys, the Too Sweet that's heard around the world, fuck all that nonsense, man. That stupid-ass fuckery. Are you kidding me, man? This shit's whack anyway, man. Shit, we done moved on. Man.
Well, Jay, what do you think? Do you think that all of this is a work? I mean, how all of this has been building up. It's, of course, you got Tama Tonga still in the present. How, keeping all of these facts in check. How Omega and Good Brothers are really not a part of the Bullet Club because, Tama Tonga is still the true OG in it, along with Bad Luck Fale. And, of course, Jay White is still ruling this thing. And if only you can remember what Jay White had to say, because here we thought Jay White was on the verge of leaving New Japan and go maybe across North America to go with WWE and NXT because, Triple H was interested in Jay White and he loved Jay White's work. And it turns out that was even not the case. So knowing that, Tama Tonga, not Tama Tonga, but Jay White, he came back and took his position and, of course, let the world know that, hey, I'm back. I'm not going anywhere because this is the real era. This is the realist era. And you got a bunch of, in other words, commie pinkos out there that are trying to, get back to the past and relive the past when the past has already been done. It's history. You still got the real thing going on right here, and I'm the one that's ruling it. They're just doing all of this just to sell T-shirts of the hottest sellers that were back then when we should be concentrating in the world of now. So I'm going to play a little bit of that, and that way we can hear Jay White having to speak his piece when it came to coming back to New Japan Pro Wrestling and, of course, to, be back leading the Bullet Club to where it needs to go for the future. When, in my opinion, should have been done a long time ago. But, hey, it still exists. It's still rolling. But with Jay White, they still have a chance. Let's listen in.
In case you forgot, in case there's any question to it, it's still my era! In New Japan, across the world of pro wrestling, it is still my era. It is the real era! It's the real era. I'm still Bullet Club. I'm real Bullet Club. This is real Bullet Club right here. We're not a cheap ripoff. Trying to recreate the past to try and regain some relevance and doing corny reunions just so you can sell shitty t-shirts to you all. But of course, you all still buy them because you are You are you. This is a real Bullet Club. Let me tell you what real Bullet Club's about. It's about change. It's about moving forward. It's about progression. It's not about living in the past. It's not about going backwards. So, what's next for me? What am I progressing towards? You just saw it there. Ishii! That's who I'm moving towards. Ishii. You see, after Wrestle Kingdom, I made the biggest mistake of all. Biggest mistake in my life. When I questioned myself. And for a moment, for about 10 minutes, I doubted myself. Despite all the rumors going around. Where's Jay? What's happening, Jay? Let me tell you right now, I was done. I was out the door. And as that door was closing behind me, I heard it. It was so quiet. It was Jay. I heard it, Jay. It's Jay! I woke up and then I saw it right in front of me. See, I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong about what's destined for me. I wasn't wrong about my destiny. I wasn't wrong about me becoming God. I was just missing one little piece. My timing was just a little bit off. I was missing one little short, round, ball piece named Ishii. See, Ishii, you're the one that's not in place. You were meant to fall into place in the G1. I was meant to beat you. And then I was meant to fulfill my destiny and become God. But Ishii, you defied me. So now I'm going to make sure all the pieces fall into place. I'm going to put them in their place. Ishii, I'm going to put you in your place. Ishii, I'm going to put you down. I'm going to put the puppy down, and I promise you it will not beat you, mate. So, New Japan, as you can see, I am back, and I am not going anywhere because this is my new era. This is the real era. It's still mine. I am back, so do what you have to do. Change the cards around and put me in tomorrow. Opposite Ishii, whatever match he is in. And with that, there's nothing else left to say. Ishii, let's chew it up, baby.
So Jay White made his return to New Japan. That was 5 days ago, but he stated it real clear that it's still his Bullet Club. It's still the real era. It's still the Switchblade era. He's still going to keep the group going strong. And from the moment that I stopped watching it, I knew Jay White was going to pull it off. I mean, he was voiced in by Finn Balor with Tama Tonga and Bad Luck Fale. Okay, this is the guy who was going to lead the Bullet Club into the future, and that was Switchblade Jay White. Jay White was doing very sweetly. He's back, and I think he's going to be 10 times ferocious more than ever. So now the question is New Japan Pro Wrestling in the trenches with AEW along with Impact Wrestling? Are we going to see that force of the wrestling world, these different wrestling worlds going against WWE? We're going to have to wait and see. And yeah, man, it's been getting very tense. It's been getting pretty cool. But yeah, now we're finally seeing all this unveiling before our eyes. Now we're gonna have to stay tuned to what's gonna happen next week with Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, principally in the Wrestling Night Wars. It still feels like a Monday night to me, but now it's a whole new different atmosphere with the Wrestling Night Wars between NXT versus AEW and Impact. And now are we going to see New Japan being included finally? All of this is building up little by little, moment by moment, time after time. We're going to see, besides Kenta, if there's anyone else going to be infiltrated from New Japan Pro Wrestling or anybody from Bullet Club kicking in and settling things the way they should be settled. Well, that is all the time that we have for tonight. We're glad that you got to tune in with us. And if not, if you actually watch this episode right after it comes up on the feed of this channel, we want to thank you for that. We also want to thank recently for all the 2,630 subscribers that have just recently joined us. Thank you very much for subscribing. It is very appreciative. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for that. And that is it for our part. You have been watching the Wrestling Weekend Recap for the one and only Jade. I am Aceman X. Until then, mask up, stay safe, peace and love worldwide. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us.